Hi everyone, this is Stephanie with Hightower Stitching, bringing you today's quilt project, which is number 254. And I sometimes, I fall in that hole and I end up doing one that's similar to another, that's similar to another. Well, that sort of happened to me because I was trying to get away from the one that I did with the 1-inch strips. And I did succeed in doing that, and I found a really nice project for today. Here was an example of the little block that we just finished that had 4 small blocks put together and used the 1-inch strips. Well, I said, I don't want to do anything that small again right now. And I turned a page in a book and I said, oh my gosh, what a pretty quilt. And it jumped up and it's got strips that are 2 3/8 inches wide. And that is really a nice thing to do. For the plan for today is to look at a piece that I have that's ready to go on my quilting machine. And then I want to talk about the patches and the different colors that you choose. And then I'm going to show you where I am. I've decided I was going to make another one because I liked the first one again and I wanted to share with you. And then I'll do some sewing and again be talking about putting the log cabin blocks together. So if you already know a lot about that, you may not need that. If you're just starting, this is a great beginner's block. And we're going to I made four blocks, put them together to be a topper. So if you look at my paper right here, it just says that I'm going from little 1-inch wide strips to a project with 2 3/8 inch log strips. It's from the Quilter's World Autumn 2023, page 90. And we're going to be looking at colors, and just a quick look. We're going to be looking at centerpieces. We're going to be looking at 3 different darks. We're going to be looking at cream and tan, and we use a lot of that, and it includes sashing. And then there's going to be a 3.5 inch wide print border. We're going for 4 15-inch blocks, and when it's finished, it'll be 42 by 42. Here's the 42 by 42 inch quilt that I did, the first one, and it's so much fun, and I just got lucky with my colors because I just looked at what I had because I knew it was going to be my sample. And the one thing that I did find out right off the bat is the center block, that 4 1/4 inch, I decided I was going to fussy cut that. And if I was you, I'd just start with a print that I liked or a solid, and you'll see that in the next quilt, because I actually had to take out one of the center blocks when I got it done because it was so off, and then I just had to turn it and sew it back in, but it was worth it when it turned out like this. So we're going to start with a center block, and that's going to be one color. And then we're going to move to the left. We're going to do like the little squares we did, and we're going to go counterclockwise again. But we're going to be using these big, nice pieces of fabric. And I cut my strips with a grain along the selvage edge so that I wouldn't have to even worry about stretching. But if you end up with a color you really want to use and you want to sort of safeguard against that, then take and starch it on the front and the back, and then cut it, and you'll be ready to go. You'll have your strips. So this is what we're going to go with. We've got 4 blocks. We have sashing between the blocks. This is going to be different. And then in the center there of the table top, there is one block that's 2.5 inches wide. The sashing changes to 2.5 inches wide. And if you'll look, there is a sashing row, repeat, going around the outside of the square before you get to the 3.5 inch border. And then I fussy cut that so that it was about the same look all the way around, and that would be the end of it. And what you see out there is the batting that's, I've got it all pinned together, ready to go and quilt. So here's the one that I was going to work on with you today. And you can see on the bottom is the row. It's got the 2 blocks put together, and I've already added the sashing to the top after my dark color. And then you can see I used a different setting color for in the middle instead of the dark blue. I looked at it and said, gee, I think I'd like to put that 2.5-inch square in the middle with a repeat of the blue that I started with. And then here, the center square, the 4 1/4 inch yellow, is just a solid color to start it out. And then I moved out. Now, the one in the book, they started immediately with a dark and a dark and a dark. But I had that nice yellow, and then I had that nice white and yellow to put next to it. And I said, I think I like that look. And so then I've got the 3rd block is up on the top row, and it's got the sashing on the right put on already. So let's go ahead and look at what we're going to do to sew. I even found some backing up there on the top corner. I'm going to put a yellow backing on that quilt. And I made a simple setup. Now this is for 1 block. You would need 4 of the first one if you were going to make the topper, but if you're just doing the practice, you just need 1, and it's 4 1/4. And then pick your color that you're going to use as your cream, because it's going to, and it'll cover, and it's over a yard, a little bit over a yard to do the 4 blocks. And here again, I did like I did with the little blocks. I just went ahead and cut my strips with the grain, and then I just set those down, and I'm going to use those as I go. In the directions, the description, I will put the length that she had for each of those. All right, and then for the colors, I had the dark yellow, then I had my flowered yellow, my blue, and my dark blue. And these are 2 3/8 inches wide. But there again, I just went ahead and cut some strips and then use those as I went. Now I didn't cut this yet. This is the sashing, and that is going to be your tan or cream color. These are going to be 2 1/2 inch strips. So you can make your strips, and they're going to be long for that section. And then here I just added that one little 2 1/2 inch square that you're going to need. The border, there are 2 borders actually, because we've gotten another one of the cream tan 2 1/2 that goes around the outside. Then you come to the 3 1/2 inch all the way around. Now I've got it sitting right here. These were the colors that I went with, and I finally decided, get my thing right here, that this is the color I'm going to try. And I haven't cut it yet, but I'm going to try and decide either to cut it with this way or that way to do the outside border, to sort of put, and to pull these colors together. But I wanted it to show up when it got finished, so I'd sort of tell you where I was going when I was doing it. All right, so now I've got my center, and I'm going to start on one of the sides, and I've got, this is a piece that I had left over, and I knew it would fit, so I'm just going to set that. Look how big that is. It's so neat. And I've got my thread catcher for the first stitch, because I tried not using it, and I kept running the material down into the machine. My 1 1/4 inch seam. And if you decide to, if you've made a sample, or you decide you're just going to go ahead and start and do all of it, well, here again, there are a lot of places that you can machine chain. All right, and now I'm not going to press mine, but when I did, I pressed it, and I pressed the seam away from the center, and that really stopped a lot of problems. All right, so I've got that one on, and like before, I keep saying that because it seems like yesterday, then I'm going to go to the left, then I'm going to add on the next one, and this one, again, I didn't pre-cut because when it's this small, it's really easy to see that it will be the right size, and I usually wait till I get it sewed on. Of course, now, if you were going to do machine chaining, then you'd take the next one and lay it under there and keep going. And when you got that one, then do the next one. And I did do that when I started doing the 3 blocks at one time. Then I just turn it over and I look at it and I can see exactly where I need to go. And so now I've got the first part of the first row. All right, so then I'm going to go back to my material, and it looks like I've already got myself a little problem here because I might have to cut another piece quick. But this one just happens to fit, and I'm going to take and set it on there. Isn't that funny? So I guess it'd have to be an accident. That one, the machine didn't eat it up. And I've got it going out. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause a minute to cut a piece. And you can see that this isn't gonna take a lot of some of the materials like the centerpieces and then some of your dark colors. All right, so I'm gonna set it on there. Let's see if this one will go. And then you'd give it a nice press. And you look at it and you'd be back to where you started with the one on the side. And so we're going to be back to the cream. And this is really nice because if you've just left it as a strip, you just add your cream on. And that's all the little baby yellow flower material that I needed for one block. I like to turn it over. And if you're on this side, when you get ready to press, you can press the whole piece where it's going back out if you didn't do it yet, any pressing. And then you'd be ready to turn it over and do the next white. I thought the other day, I said, oh gosh, I'm ready to go and start stitching on the other one. I've got it pinned together, and I did so many funny things on the other one. I said, I'm going to think about this and decide what I can do for quilting. It's going to be the next thing I work on that. And we're only going to have 3 rows going out. And that's pretty much the way it was with the little 1-inchers too. All right. And so now I've got that here. I'm building this corner going out. All right. Then the next one I had was that bright pink. And I'm going to take another little break for a second. So I pressed it, and it looks so nice when you look at the back and it's all pressed out. This is one I haven't pressed. And I added on that blue one. And we know we're doing good because we've got these two on the same side. And so I'm going to add my next blue. And you sort of eyeball it when you get to some of the layers, because you're going to watch this one to see how it fit, how this blue is fitting, if it's pretty even all the way down. And then when I look at this one, for some reason, and you can't tell why, I can't tell, there's a piece out here, but if I set it on there, I'm going to let it be straight. But look how fast that goes. It's just it's so much fun. All right. So then we're ready, because we're still going. We're going to add a row of white and a row of white. Then we're going to be ready. My darkest color is this dark color. And I just played with them trying to decide, because it had a little bit of light in it. And I said, that goes with that. I think that if it had been all just a solid, it wouldn't have the same effect it has as this, that it's got the blue and then the blue in here. So let's look back at the one that I've got on the wall. Having a topsy day here. All right, so this was one of the blocks. And if you look at it, you see your center. You see your cream color. There's my 2 yellows. Then I have my 2 blues. And then finally I have the outside of that particular block. Now at this point, when you put the last dark on there, measure it, because you want it to be 15 by 15 inches. And once you get that done, then you're ready, and you have 2 blocks done. Then you can go ahead and add your sashing in the middle, which changes to 2.5 inches. And then you have sashing through the top with a setting block there that's 2.5, because that's the only thing that will fit in there, right? And the other 2.5. And then you're going to repeat that for the other side, and then you'll have 42 by 42 inches almost. But remember, you'll have to put another row of cream around all 4 of them when they're finished. And then you're going to come back with that 3.5 inch border around there. And it's what's going to pull your piece together. I thought we'd come back in here and look at this one for a minute, where you actually see that I have the 2.5 inch all the way around. And then I have the 3.5 inch border. And then when I back up, you can see the 4 blocks with that pretty center in there. And this one, the idea was to let it be a tabletopper. But I was even thinking about, I have a little neighbor boy, and I thought, this might turn out really nice for a quilt, because it's just about the right size, 42 by 42 inches. So I hope you'll try that. Well, I hope you like it, because it was really fun. It was such a change from the 1-inchers, which I really liked. But it was a chore, but you really had a beautiful quilt when it was finished. And then this one was just so nice with those big pieces going around there. Now I've got to think about what I'm going to do for quilting. This is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. Thank you for watching. And please hit subscribe and come back and visit again.